Hello. Episode 27 today of Rotn Strips. Are you ready?
Psych! We are hijacking this episode to give you a very, very spooky and personal episode of We Are Not Alone. Come along. This one we call The Canterbury Tale. Enjoy.
So when I first moved in with Matt, he was living in a tiny 2-bedroom apartment with his roommate. And the way I remember it is it all started with the mirror.
So my roommate was into different weird magics and books from Books A Million, and I think he had a tendency to kind of mess around with energies and powers that he didn't quite know.
So one day, we walk outside, and there's a mirror leaning against the wall next to our door. No cracks, scratches, smudges, nothing, and no frame.
On a personal note, I have never, ever liked mirrors.
Matt's roommate decided to bring it in, and I remember that it sat in the hall for a while before he took it into his room. In fact, one night, I apparently told them I was talking to the girl trapped in the mirror, but we'll chalk that one up to not being sober.
Yeah, we were sitting around one night, and she vanished, and the next thing, I find her actually sitting in the hallway, looking at the mirror, sitting Indian style, and just kind of chatting it up with the girl in the mirror.
So around this time, we noticed that Matt was being followed by the ice cream man. I even knew that every time I heard that particular song, that Matt would be walking in the door within 5 minutes. One time, we were pulling out of the parking lot and heard the music. Not from a distance, but already on top of us out of nowhere. Then we saw that the van was driving towards us on the same road. Well, Matt gunned it and we took off down the road in the opposite direction. Yet 30 minutes later, on the other side of town, we see the same van parked at a gas station up ahead of us. This was happening every day, and it went on for months. Now, I've never been known to sleepwalk, but early one morning, I wake up and I'm walking down the road past a cemetery that was about a block away from us, and the ice cream man is driving towards me down the road. The song is what woke me up. One day, I'm there by myself. Both Matt and his roommate were at work. So I'm sitting on the couch, studying, and I hear a noise from the room behind me, which was the kitchen. So I get up to go investigate and flip the light switch. The light starts to come on and immediately goes back off, as if the bulb had blown. I'm standing there in the doorway, waiting for my eyes to adjust, still trying to figure out what I heard, and I feel something brush past me, like something leaving the room. At this point, I'm very confused, and I start backing up and turning back and forth trying to see both ways, and I realize that my side is stinging. I raise up my t-shirt, and I had 3 claw marks running from up under my armpit, down underneath my bra, and all the way down my hip inside my jeans. I grabbed the cordless phone we had at the time and ran out the door and called Matt at work. I ended up going to a friend's house to wait for Matt to come home.
Yeah, so after I get off work, I go to our friend's house, and she told me what happened, and we decided we want to watch a movie down with him, so I'm like, alright, well, I'll just go grab this movie. Well, I go up there, and none of the lights will come on, and there's this thing when I was a kid I used to see when I looked down dark hallways. I would always see like this little shadow peek out of a doorway and then jerk his head back just as I'm looking at it. And that's the exact same thing I saw in my hallway. So I just kind of shut the door and went back to the friend's house, and we kind of let it cool down.
But when we got back, Later on that night, all the lights worked fine, including the one in the kitchen.
One incident that I remember in particular is that we were driving down the road. Me and Brandy both were in the front seat of the car, and it looked to us like this shadow just comes running out of a random house. And, you know, the street was lined with cars, and it looks like a guy's going to just dart out in front of our car, and we're going to hit him. So I kind of slammed on our brakes, and Brandy saw it too. She put her hands up. We thought 100% we were going to hit somebody. And it never happened. There was nobody there. It was terrifying. And it looked a lot like the same shadow that I saw when I looked down the hallway that day.
So fast forward a few months, Matt's roommate had moved out before we did, and we had converted his bedroom into our living room so we could stack our boxes by the front door, ready to move out. One night, I'm by myself again, and I suddenly hear screaming from the next room, which was our bedroom. I jumped up in a panic and ran into that room, only now the screaming sounds like it's coming from the room I was just in. As I turn again and pause in the doorway, it sounds like it's coming from the wall between the two rooms, and then the screaming stops. I'm standing there, and my heart is pounding, and I have no idea what to do, and then I hear the toilet flush. I walk slowly towards the bathroom, and I'm seeing the lever on the toilet go up and down by itself, on its own, while the toilet flushing sound continues over and over. There's not even enough time between each flush for the tank to refill, but this happened several times before it just stopped. I spent the rest of the night on edge, just waiting for something else to happen, but I didn't hear anything else. We moved out 2 days later, and on our last walkthrough, we found the mirror inside Matt's roommate's bedroom closet. We had completely forgotten about the mirror and never realized that when he moved out, he'd left the mirror behind. We also left the mirror behind.
And there you have it, guys. That is the Canterbury Tale. It was a crazy time, crazy story, and we never, like toward the end of staying in that apartment, we were just never comfortable and everything was horrible. But after we got out of there, everything was 100% uptick and has been ever since. So, lucky us for getting the bells. And that's another story about how we are not alone. / episode 27. Stay rotten.